The tensions with Karen and the HOA reached a dramatic peak when she made the audacious decision to dial the law enforcement leader after I had raised my farm pond. What she failed to comprehend was that her actions were not only misplaced but entirely irrelevant in the face of my authority and control over the district. While she imagined herself the orchestrator of events, she had no idea of the networks, influence, and legal power quietly backing every move I made. The morning began like any other, with Karen inspecting the area where the pond had once stood. She was fuming, pacing along the banks of the drained pond, her face a mask of disbelief. The water that had sustained my crops, livestock, and local wildlife was gone, diverted strategically to ensure that the HOA and Karen felt the immediate weight of consequences for overstepping their bounds. She quickly reached for her phone, dialing the highest-ranking officer in law enforcement, hoping to frame the destruction as a violation rather than a calculated, lawful action. By the time officers arrived, the scene was serene, almost idyllic, though deceptively so. The pond, once teeming with life, had been transformed into a controlled landscape, complete with alternative water flow channels and reinforced barriers. My spouse and I greeted the officers calmly, presenting documentation that proved not only ownership but full legal authority over the pond, its management, and the surrounding property. The officers, bound by procedure but confronted with overwhelming evidence, quickly realized Karen's complaint was baseless. Karen attempted to argue, insisting that emergency intervention was necessary and that her HOA position gave her authority over the matter. But as her words spilled out, it became apparent that she was unaware of the deeper layers of governance at play. I had legal oversight of the district, authority over environmental and agricultural management, and direct influence with local enforcement. In short, every claim she made was immediately and systematically invalidated. The confrontation quickly became more than a legal dispute, it was a psychological spectacle. Karen's repeated interruptions, frantic gestures, and attempts to assert control contrasted sharply with the calm and composed demeanor of my spouse and myself. Every step she took, every demand she made, was methodically countered by facts, documents, and visible evidence of authority. The drained pond, the diverted water, and the well-structured landscape all served as silent but powerful reminders. Intrusion and entitlement would not go unchallenged. In the following days, Karen's attempts to rally HOA support proved futile. Every complaint, every meeting she convened, only underscored the reality she refused to accept. She had overestimated her influence and underestimated the depth of control we possessed. The pond incident became a talking point across the district, illustrating the consequences of ignoring legal boundaries, property rights, and the calculated measures of those who truly held authority. To reinforce the lesson, additional precautions were implemented. Water channels were fortified, access points secured, and surveillance systems subtly enhanced. Each adjustment was done to ensure that any future attempt at interference would be instantly noticed and neutralized. It was not just about punishment, it was about strategic deterrence, making it abundantly clear that every action by the HOA or Karen would be met with precise and unavoidable consequences. Karen herself became increasingly isolated, her frantic calls and meetings failing to rally support. The law enforcement officers, having witnessed firsthand the propriety and legality of our actions, began quietly advising against further involvement in her disputes. It was a clear message. Authority cannot be claimed by dialing a number, nor can power be exercised without understanding the systems that govern it. By the end of the week, the drained pond stood as a symbol of measured retaliation and ultimate control. Karen's call to the law enforcement leader had achieved nothing beyond exposing her ignorance and arrogance. Every aspect of the property, from water flow to access points, was firmly under our command. The incident served as yet another reminder that attempts to challenge rightful authority, through emergency calls, HOA meetings, or personal intervention, would be met with calculated, strategic, and unmistakable consequences. In the quiet that followed, it became evident that Karen had learned, at least partially, the cost of misjudging those who hold true power. While she may have believed herself the orchestrator of events, the reality was starkly different. Control over land, water, and resources is earned through foresight, preparation, and authority that extends beyond simple titles. Karen's misstep at the farm pond only reinforced a pattern that would continue to define every interaction she had with us. Arrogance and entitlement are met with precision, strategy, and the unshakable assertion of true authority.